In the heart of a dense forest, shrouded in mist and mystery, there stood an old, decrepit mansion known as Blackwood Manor. Legends whispered of its dark past, tales of unspeakable horrors that had occurred within its walls. But despite the warnings, 5 curious friends, Emma, Jack, Sarah, Michael, and Rachel, decided to spend a weekend exploring the abandoned mansion. As they approached the towering gates of Blackwood Manor, a chill ran down their spines. The air seemed to grow colder, and the forest around them fell silent as if holding its breath. Ignoring the sense of foreboding that gnawed at their hearts, they pushed open the rusted gates and stepped onto the overgrown path leading to the mansion. The mansion loomed before them, its windows boarded up, and its once grand facade now a crumbling ruin. Undeterred, the friends ventured inside, their footsteps echoing through the empty halls like whispers of the past. Each room they explored held its own secrets, each corner hiding shadows of forgotten memories. As night descended upon Blackwood Manor, the friends gathered in the grand ballroom, their lanterns casting flickering shadows on the walls. They laughed and joked, trying to shake off the unease that lingered in the air. But as the hours passed, their laughter faded, replaced by a growing sense of dread. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed through the hall, sending shivers down their spines. They exchanged nervous glances, their hearts pounding in their chests. With trembling hands, they searched the darkness, but there was no one to be found. Just as they began to relax, a voice echoed through the silence, a haunting melody that seemed to seep through the very walls of the mansion. The friends froze, their blood turning to ice as the music grew louder, filling the room with its eerie presence. Unable to resist the pull of the music, they followed its haunting melody through the labyrinthine corridors of Blackwood Manor. Each step they took felt like a descent into madness, the darkness pressing in around them like a suffocating shroud. Finally, they reached the heart of the mansion, a forgotten chamber hidden deep within its bowels. There, in the flickering candlelight, they found an ancient piano, its keys stained with the passage of time. And seated at the piano, a ghostly figure bathed in moonlight, was a woman dressed in tattered finery. The woman's eyes were empty, hollow pits devoid of life, yet her fingers danced across the keys with a grace that defied explanation. As the friends watched in horror, she began to play, her music weaving a spell that ensnared their very souls. Unable to tear themselves away, they listened as she recounted the tragic tale of Blackwood Manor, a story of love and betrayal, of madness and despair. And as her final notes faded into the darkness, they knew that they were doomed to share the same fate as those who had come before them. With a scream that echoed through the halls of Blackwood Manor, the friends were consumed by the darkness, their souls bound to the mansion for all eternity. And as the first light of dawn touched the crumbling walls, Blackwood Manor faded into the mists of time, its secrets lost to the ages once more. And so, dear listener, beware the echoes of the forgotten, for in the heart of darkness, the past can never truly be laid to rest. In the heart of a dense forest, there stood an old, abandoned mansion, its walls crumbling and its windows shattered. Locals spoke of it only in hushed tones, for they believed it to be haunted. They said that the souls of those who met tragic ends within its walls lingered on, seeking solace or perhaps revenge. Despite the warnings, curiosity often led wanderers to its doorstep, drawn by the mystery that surrounded it. One chilly autumn evening, a group of adventurous friends decided to explore the infamous mansion. Among them was Sarah, a young woman with an insatiable thirst for excitement. She laughed off the warnings of the locals, eager to unravel the secrets hidden within the decrepit walls. As they entered the mansion, a shiver ran down Sarah's spine, but she pushed aside her unease, determined to prove her bravery. The air inside was thick with dust, and the floorboards creaked beneath their feet as they ventured deeper into the darkness. They explored room after room, each one filled with remnants of a forgotten past. Sarah's heart raced with excitement as they uncovered old furniture covered in cobwebs and faded portraits staring down at them from the walls. But as they delved further into the mansion, a sense of dread began to creep over Sarah. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, that something sinister lurked in the shadows. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierced the silence, sending shivers down Sarah's spine. It was one of her friends, their cries echoing through the empty halls. Panic seized the group as they rushed to find the source of the scream. They found their friend in a state of shock, trembling in a corner of the room. He claimed to have seen a figure lurking in the darkness, its eyes gleaming with malice. But when they searched the room, there was no sign of anyone else. Despite their fear, Sarah and her friends pressed on, determined to uncover the truth behind the mansion's dark reputation. But with each passing minute, the sense of unease grew stronger, as if the very walls themselves were closing in around them. As night fell, they gathered in the grand hall, their nerves on edge as they prepared to spend the night in the mansion. Sarah tried to shake off her fear, but deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were playing a dangerous game. As they settled in for the night, strange noises echoed through the mansion, the sound of footsteps echoing in the darkness. Sarah's heart raced as she listened, her mind racing with thoughts of what could be lurking in the shadows. But it wasn't until they heard the whispers that Sarah knew they were not alone. The voices spoke of secrets long buried, of tragedies that had unfolded within the mansion's walls. And as the whispers grew louder, Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Terrified, Sarah and her friends huddled together, their minds consumed by fear. They tried to convince themselves that it was just their imagination, that there was a rational explanation for the eerie occurrences. But as the night wore on, their fear only grew stronger. Shadows danced in the flickering candlelight, their movements casting strange shapes on the walls. And with each passing hour, Sarah felt as though the darkness itself was closing in around them. Then, just as dawn broke on the horizon, they heard it, a mournful wail that sent shivers down their spines. It was the sound of a soul trapped between worlds, crying out for release. And as Sarah listened, she knew that they had awakened something dark and malevolent within the mansion's walls. With trembling hands, Sarah and her friends fled the mansion, their hearts pounding in their chests as they raced into the safety of the dawn. But even as they left the forest behind, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the darkness would follow them wherever they went. Years passed, and Sarah tried to forget the horrors she had witnessed that fateful night. But the memory of the mansion haunted her dreams, its twisted corridors and echoing whispers etched into her mind. And then, one day, she received a letter, an invitation to return to the mansion, to uncover the truth behind its dark secrets. Despite her fear, Sarah knew that she had to return, that she could not rest until she had faced the darkness head-on. And so, with a heavy heart and a sense of foreboding, Sarah returned to the mansion, ready to confront the horrors that lay within. But as she stepped through the broken doorway, she realized that the nightmare was far from over, that the darkness had only just begun to reveal its true power. As the door slammed shut behind her, Sarah knew that she was trapped, that there was no escape from the echoing silence of the haunted mansion. And as she stood alone in the darkness, she whispered a prayer for forgiveness, knowing that she had dared to tread where no one should ever go.